So the next dog was a dog named Cedarwood's Daunting Spirit, a UT Prize 1 dog, just a rocket retriever. He ran out, picked up the tee, spun around, took a crap. We sent him again. He went out, spun around, lifted his leg, and pissed. Saying, yeah, you flunked out. So then it came, the best dog was Cecil. Him and Eli were my two top dogs. So I took them both to the first game. The electricity on the field was unbelievable. And I took Cecil up, getting ready for the kickoff, and the music came on, the loudspeakers, and they had two jets fly over, and I looked at Cecil, and he was trembling and shaking, and I looked out on the field, and I went, you ain't going. I'm going to have to run out there and retrieve that damn tee in front of 35,000 people. So I told LaFay, I said, hurry, run, get Eli fast. We switched dogs at the kickoff, and I was trying to get Eli just to sit next to me so I could send him, and he broke, and off he went. And he had the tee back to me before they tackled the player. And the ref came down and chewed my butt for, and I said, hey, he broke, I'm sorry. And he goes, he didn't look broke to me.
He didn't understand the terminology.
He didn't get it, but so Eli got the job. But the interesting thing, I can tell this story now, the interesting thing about it was that the local TV station did a 30-minute special, Meet the Newest Bronco, Cecil. So Cecil Andrus, past governor, past senator, he was Secretary of Interior under Bill Clinton. Cecil Andrus sent me an email the next morning and said, I bet you're glad you named that dog after me, Bob. Cecil sure looked good last night. He said, I counted them 7 perfect retrieves because Boise State kicked the crap out of Oregon State.
So they were always having to kick the ball off because they kept scoring.
But I didn't run Cecil. And every game, Cecil Andrus would send me an email and said, the boys sure look good.
And all the time it was...
And it was I never had the heart to tell him. I couldn't do it to him, but yeah.
Now, I've been here a couple times, and I know I asked you this before. When you got here to Boise, was this an existing, somebody had it before you built the kennel, or did you do this one nail at a time? What was the history behind the kennel here?
When I moved here, 1969, you couldn't see a tree anywhere. It was just flat. The subdivision wasn't developed. There was a 3-bedroom house with a carport.
Okay.
And that was it. No fences, no nothing. So yeah, everything you see, I built over the years. And I needed good kennels. I had a TV sitting up there. I'd sit out here and reload shotgun shells, watch Monday Night Football, talk to my dogs. One day I decided I needed a much better whelping facility. After LaFay started educating me on how to raise puppies from birth on, puppies don't need to be out in a kennel and listening to other dogs bark or howl, or they just
need their mom.
They need their mom, and that's it. I went to a kennel up in Ontario. I visited one, and I walked down this alleyway in between dog runs, and all the dogs were barking their heads off at me. In fact, the owner of the kennel handed me a pair of earmuffs and said, you're going to need these. So we walked through, and we got to the very end, and here was a litter of puppies. And those puppies were hiding back in a corner. And it broke my heart, because I thought, these puppies hear these other dogs barking, and that says danger, danger, danger.
Right, so what are they learning?
What do they see?
Yeah.
Humans. So I wonder why his dogs are people shy.
Yeah, or people alarmed. So
I came home and I thought, I got to do something better. That's when I built a 3rd garage. I turned my 2-car garage into a 3-car garage and created a whelping room. That way, when I have a litter of puppies whelped, the only person they see is their mother and LaFay until they're probably 3-4 weeks old.
Right, and then they might be out in the lawn.
And then they'll be here, they'll be in the puppy pen.
And so it's a transition.
Yep. My daughter rodeoed. She was a barrel racer, so we had horses. and I had 2 nice horse corrals, and then she and I team roped together for, God, I don't know how many years. So
I did not know that.
We always had a couple of horses. And after she got out of high school, we sold the horse and got out of the horse business, and I quit team roping, and I turned the horse corrals into puppy pens. So I have 2 huge puppy pens out there.
And that's just dedicated for puppies?
Just puppies. I've got 7 kennels here that I don't even use anymore. There's never a dog in them because I don't train gun dogs anymore.
Right.
But, you know, probably the magic of my game has been a guy named Frank Schmidt. Frank Schmidt came here from South Dakota, bought a dog from me. He moved here. Interestingly, he had a daughter that was single and had a small boy, and he came here to make sure that boy got raised in kind of a manly way. He was a world-class taxidermist, and he got into training dogs with me, and one day I said, why don't you just start taking in dogs and train them? I don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
And I said, you know, it's good money if you've got the facilities and the birds and
the talent.
And so he's been training dogs for me for at least 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he keeps all my stud dogs. He's kept me in the game. Without him, I would have 100% retired.
Right.
Probably at least 5 years ago.
Well, it's almost kind of like the families you put the females into early on. You built this pyramid, this foundation of support.
Yeah.
You know. And
Frank is one of the most genuine human beings I've ever met in my life. He would do anything for me.
Right.
But I think he'd do anything for anybody. I think he's just
right.
He's a true fireman all the way. You can see that in him.
That was his vocation.
And his wife is just like LaFay, raising puppies. He's had 3 or 4 litters now himself, and he has his own kennel name and his own kennel business and whatnot. Yep. And, you know, and Jan, his wife, is just like LaFay, raising puppies and just totally, totally into it. And I wrote an article that was in the NAVDA magazine. The title was About Schmidt, because that was Frank Schmidt. Well, it was about his grandson and how I gave his grandson a puppy. And I told him, I said, if you raise this puppy, you test it in NAVDA, and I want to see it. I want to see this dog hunted, and I want to see this dog trained through utility. We can breed it, and I'll let you use one of my dogs. And I said, all the puppy money goes to college. It was just a great relationship. Watching that kid grow up, I'll never forget. I was showing him how to teach a dog to do a drag, take it up on a leash, and show him the feather pile, and tell the dog to fetch. Clayton is hanging on to this lead about 10 foot. How old is
Clayton at this point?
8 years old.
8 years old.
That dog jerked him off his field and is dragging him through the field, and I'm hollering, let go of the rope, Clayton. It was, we had so much fun training with him one summer. But anyway, I wouldn't be in this game without Frank.
Right.
You know, and I still don't raise that many pups, but, you know, I help a lot of people find a good place to buy a pup.
Well, I want to ask that too. Like you talked about how you built it, how you thought this place should look. And part of that's got to be for the customers that come to you to pick up their pup.
Exactly.
Right? They almost feel like we made, like, without even meeting you, maybe other than a phone call, they get here and it's like, oh, good. They feel like they're at a professional facility.
Yeah, I love telling this story. My dad came here one Thanksgiving to share Thanksgiving, and I was sifting through applications for the lab that I supervised. I had somebody quit and leave, and I needed to find
These are employee applications.
And I'm just looking through, and he said, what are you doing? And I told him, and he said, well, do these people all live local? And I said, yeah, they live here in Boise. And he said, well, it's Saturday. Let's get in the car. He said, we need to drive by their houses. He said, everybody will have their garage doors open doing stuff. You can look in the guy's garage and learn more about him than a damn application that he's going to spill a bunch of lies about.
It gives a first impression as a best impression, you know.
I mean, you can't believe You know, I've been doing this for 40 years. I've seen a lot of people's facilities, and I would say half the people that raise hunting dogs don't even have facilities,
right,
as I call them.
They have a kennel.
They have a house, and they have a garage,
right,
and they
or they might have a kennel run off the side of the garage or something.
They're not in a professional way, and sometimes what you think is going to be, you're going to go see some really nice dogs in a nice facility. You show up and the pups are out in the woodshed with the mother, or they're under the porch of the house, or,
right.
I mean, and these are people that are raising poodle pointers. It's like the puppy mill. You go to the mall and you're going to buy a little foo-foo dog, but you don't know any better.
But when you have the background and you've met, and when you meeting all the people that you meet, that you glean a little bit from everybody.
When you look on my website, you get to see facilities.
Right.
You get to see this room. You get to see my whelping room. You get to see my training grounds out back. I have my own water back there to train in. You get to meet Bob Farris.
So that goes back to my first thing. How did this become? It just became.
It just got better and better and better. Yeah. My first litter of puppies were whelped in the garage.
Sure.
In a chain link pen.
Yep.
And
but you stepped it up, and then you stepped it up.
And I think everybody's been through that.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
When you go to Europe and you visit all the kennels in Europe, you don't see what you see here in America. You see somebody living in a house or an apartment, and they may have 2 dogs, and
right.
That's it.
Yeah.
But they live in the house with them. Where do they whelp their puppies? They got a back bedroom. And they whelp the puppies in that back bedroom, and they raise them in the house with them and whatnot. But you don't see chain link kennels all over
right.
the place at all. You know, I went to Germany, the Czech Republic, and Austria, and looked at every poodle pointer person we could find.
Really?
Yeah, visited them, and it was a great time. And I can tell you, I focused on the Czech Republic dogs. I've imported three imports
mm-hmm.
from the Czech Republic, and the first one was a dog named Harry, who created the Boise State T Retriever. You look at Harry and you think that dog from the Czech Republic created Eli.
Right.
And Eli was a dog that when I was at Boise State games, all the cheerleaders were huddled around with him, or the players on the sideline. He was a gentle giant.
Yeah.
But my God, what a retrieving machine. Now,
right.
And I would look at him and think, and you're out of Harry. The genetics were so strong that they just came through.
Well, and you're segueing for me right here, okay? You also did something else for Poodle Pointers that your name is synonymous with, the Poodle Pointer Alliance. And nobody did that with any of the other breeds here. What was your idea behind formulating the Poodle Pointer Alliance?
So when I was in Germany, I was over there with Bill Athens. He's a long-time Poodle Pointer owner,
Ohio,
breeder. He's from Ohio.
Yep.
Killbuck Kennels.
Mm-hmm.
2 of my stud dogs are from Bill. We were sitting in a bar, drinking beer, and it just came up, how are we going to preserve this breed from all the fools that are going to want to get on board?
And that's going to happen every time a dog gets popular.
I mean, when you start looking at the different setters, the red setter, the Gordon setter, the
Spinoni, the Bracco, the long hair.
Americans are famous for ruining breeds. Yes. Absolutely famous. Because if they don't like it,
they change it.
They try to breed to an English pointer or a cow dog, whatever. So we're sitting there talking about how are we going to preserve this breed? They're getting too popular, and we thought, well, if we could collect and create a breed standard that you had to abide by to breed these dogs.
Kind of like the German system.
Exactly like it.
Yeah.
But what would we use? Well, NAVDA test. That's easy.
Yeah, they had to have the field part.
Yep. And a female had to have a minimum of 100 points in natural ability.
We have 2 favors to ask you. If you like the content you've been watching,
please hit the like and the subscribe button and wish me luck. We're going grouse hunting.